Phase one of your fiscal strategy as announced today is about the supports for the economy. You said that the trigger to move to the second step will be well under 6% unemployment. You could be in phase one for a few years, couldn't you?
We'll print the numbers for the unemployment projections and forecasts in the budget in under 2 weeks' time. But today's speech about the fiscal strategy was all about the recalibration. Pre-COVID, as you know, we were on track for a surplus, the first surplus in 12 years. We'd achieved the first balanced budget in 11 years off the back of declining unemployment. When we came to government, it was 5.7%. We got it down to 5.1%. Welfare dependency was at a 30-year low. The annual growth in government spending was among the lowest in 50 years. So we were on the steady path to paying back that debt. Then COVID hit. And as you know, there's a big hole, Kieran, in the Australian economy. It's been a hit on the supply side and on the demand side. So we've recalibrated the fiscal strategy into 2 stages. The first part of that strategy is all about letting the automatic stabilisers work, whether it's on tax receipts or payments, continuing the temporary, the targeted support to get more people into work, but also the structural reforms like the one I announced today about insolvency changes. These are all about helping businesses stay in business and people.
Yeah, I'll get into that in a moment, that insolvency change that you made, but on the unemployment rate, that's going to be the trigger. It's got to be well under 6% before you start paying down debt. It's going to be a fair while before it's under 6%.
Even before you start reducing your debt as a share of GDP, and that's the key point.
And it's going to be a fair while before it's under 6%.
Well, again, we'll print those numbers in less than 2 weeks' time. The unemployment rate fell from 7.5 to 6.8% last month. That was the single biggest fall in 32
Will that continue?
We think that the unemployment rate will tick up again off the back of what's happening in Victoria, Kieran. But last month we saw 111,000 jobs being created. Over the last 3 months we've seen 458,000 jobs being created, 60% of which went to women and 40% went to young people. So outside of Victoria, jobs are being created, restrictions are being eased. But of course in Victoria with the stage 4 restrictions, there is an expectation that many people will lose their jobs and businesses may have to close.
You say that gross and net debt will stabilise before heading down. In your speech today you said that. Is that dependent on the COVID situation also stabilising? Because if we get a second wave, heaven forbid, in another state, you have to start all over again.
Well, of course the economic recovery, the speed and the trajectory of the economic recovery is contingent upon having a COVID-safe environment and getting the virus under control. As a country, Kieran, we were doing really well until that second wave in Victoria and to the shambles of the quarantine situation in Victoria. That has really cost the Victorian and the national economy tens of billions of dollars.
It could happen again in another state.
And that is why we need to maintain the most effective testing and tracing regime. That is why we need to have effective quarantine measures. And that is why we continue to provide federal support in so many different ways to the states and the territories.
So the forecast that it's going to stabilise and then start to come down, it is all dependent on that COVID situation, isn't it? If we see a second wave, you have to start again.
Kieran, this is a health crisis primarily with massive, severe economic impacts. And you're seeing second waves right around the world. In the United Kingdom, thousands of cases a day. In France, India is seeing many thousands of cases, obviously, of a bigger population. But we are seeing right around the world that the COVID situation and the trajectory of new cases has been rising.